Steph Curry, a top 5 player of all time? Question mark? That's up to you to decide. But today we're putting Steph Curry on every single team in the NBA and seeing what the hell happens. Steph's the greatest point guard ever. If you say it's Magic Johnson, I'm not mad at you. It's just not my personal opinion. This will be interesting because a lot of teams need a good point guard. For example, the Lakers are going to be completely different with Steph Curry. New York Knicks all of a sudden become a contender in the East. All of a sudden, the Wizards don't look like the worst team in the world. I'll tell you some teams that are very interesting. The Memphis Grizzlies now have Ja Morant and Steph Curry in the backcourt. That could make this a championship roster. Trae Young now has his dad on the roster and Steph Curry along with DeJounte Murray and Clint Capella, John Collins. You get to see Steph Curry in the same jersey that his dad wore. Comment down below who you think Steph's going to fit best with. In season number 1, there were 9 Stephen Currys that ended up making the All-Star team. Every single player in the three-point contest was Stephen Curry. Wow, guys, Steph Curry's really good at stroking it. LA Clippers version of Curry ended up winning the contest, but of course 2K's still no fucking fun and Don Cock wins MVP. Weirdly, we had a Steph Curry end up winning 6th Man of the Year. This one averaged 32 points, 5 rebounds, and 7 assists. It looks like he was on the Orlando Magic. Both Steph Curry and Luka Doncic of the Mavs made All-NBA first team, with the Spurs Curry making second team, and then the Bucks and then the Jazz making third team. Out of all the Stephen Currys, Spurs Curry and Magic Curry led them all in scoring at 32.6 points per game. Hawks version of Steph Curry led them all in assists. And in terms of three-point shooting percentage, it actually looks like the Brooklyn Nets version of Curry led them at 48% from 3. The Bucks finished with the best record in the East at 55-27. Obviously, they got the 1 seed. Drew Holiday, Steph Curry, Chris Middleton, Giannis, and Bobby Portis Jr. That's a cheat code. And then in the Western Conference, the Lakers actually pulled out the 1 seed. They would end up finishing with a record of 53-29. And this is crazy, but with the addition of Stephen Curry, Westbrook's all the way down at 7th in the rotation. He's actually been playing better this year, though. In terms of some surprising teams that ended up making the playoffs, you gotta throw the Sacramento Kings in there. And trust me, I know they're playing better this year, but honestly, this roster without Curry is very mid. And in the Eastern Conference, the Indiana Pacers making it was a shock to me. They do have some good shooting with Steph Curry and Buddy Hield, and they got Tyrese Halliburton coming off the bench. That's interesting. We went ahead and simulated the playoffs, and we actually got a very interesting finals matchup between the Bucks and the Timberwolves. Obviously, like I said, this Bucks team got the 1 seed, but the Timberwolves were not a team we talked about at all in this sim. I don't know why either. Steph Curry, Karl Anthony Towns, Anthony Edwards, Rudy Gobert, and then D'Angelo Russell. That is solid as fuck. This version of Curry is averaging 29 points, 3 rebounds, and 8 assists in the playoffs, while the Bucks version of Curry is averaging similar stats, 29 points, 5 rebounds, and 7 assists, shooting 96% from the free throw line, 46% from 3. We simulated it game by game, though, to see what happened. It actually came down to a game 7 of the series. Y'all already know the fucking deal, man. We going in here to watch this, bitch. We simulated just a little bit, and early in the second quarter, the Milwaukee Bucks were up by 9 points. Steph Curry obviously guarding Steph Curry, and man, he just does not look right in any jersey but a Warriors jersey, but that jumper misses. Giannis gonna drive it on Karl Anthony Towns, and that is an easy layup. That's about how that would play out in real life. Steph coming off a down screen. That's gonna be a wide open 3. That one's up and good. Yep, that's more like normal. We simmed to the end of this one, though, and the Bucks actually ended up blowing them out, meaning that Giannis and Steph end up winning their first NBA title together. Steph Curry also winning Finals MVP, averaging 25 points, 4 rebounds, and 8 assists. But season 2 is where things got interesting in this simulation. Certain teams started to lose the Steph Currys they had on their squad, and somehow teams like the Portland Trailblazers wound up with 3 Steph Currys on their team. Somehow the Portland Trailblazers now have 2 Currys on their squad. Maybe they won't be fucking shitty now. Anyways, though, we simulated this one. Jesus Christ, Luka won another MVP. He averaged 42, 11, and 10. Give it a fucking rest. Darius Garland winning 6th Man of the Year because Curry took his spot as the starter. In this season, there were no Currys on All-NBA first team, but there was 1 on All-NBA second team and then 2 on All-NBA third team. Okay, thank God Portland actually ended up making the playoffs. Somehow it wouldn't have shocked me, though, if Portland somehow fucked it up with 3 Stephen Currys. Same thing with Detroit. They managed to only get the 8th seed in the East, and weirdly, their Currys actually didn't do much. One of them only averaged 14 points a game, and then the other one is somehow down here with 0.3. I don't get that. I can't believe Doncic averaged 42 points a game, but the leading Curry scorer was actually the Knicks Curry, which is the only good news in Knicks franchise history. Top 11 players in points per game, there were 5 Steph Curry, so just let you know how dominant he's being in this simulation. The original Steph Curry on the Warriors actually led them all in assists, though, but unfortunately, they're not even coming close to making the playoffs. The Warriors actually finished near the bottom of the West with a record of 32 and 50. Still have basically the same core. Klay Thompson's just old, though, and I don't know where Draymond Green is. Probably riding LeBron's meat somewhere. But anyway, we simulated these playoffs. In this season, we had a Celtics and Grizzlies finals. Curry, Jaylen Brown, and Jason Tatum taking on Ja Morant, Steph Curry, Desmond Bane, Jaren Jackson. The Celtics found themselves up 3-2 in that series. However, Memphis did have a home game to try and force a game 7. Jaren Jackson Jr. is going to shoot a 3 that's up, and they're trying to stay in this. Jaylen Brown's going to come off a double stagger, though. That's a wide open 3, and I trust that, man. He's actually become a really reliable shooter. We simulated further into the game, though, and the better team in the Boston Celtics just ended up pulling away, meaning Steph Curry with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum end up winning the title for the Celtics. However, this time Jason Tatum won Finals MVP, even though he only had 19 points and 8 assists on 7 for 18 shooting in the final game. Okay, that makes more sense. He actually averaged 32 points, 6 rebounds, and 9 assists for the whole series. But if you thought things were crazy crazy in that one. Oh, just wait. In this season, Steph Curry's 36, so all of his overall started dropping, and there were actually a ton of teamless Steph Currys to begin the season as free agents. This is where things got crazy. The Knicks somehow went out and got themselves 9 Steph Currys on their roster, and that's just unfucking believable. 2K's being really, really weird here. To finish first in the power rankings this year were the defending champion Boston Celtics, and they were bringing back pretty much the same team. In this season, there were still 7 Steph Currys on the All-Star team, which is impressive. Apparently, the drop-off in his game hasn't been too much so far. Cade Cunningham won MVP of this season. One of the New York Knicks Steph Currys won 6th Man of the Year, averaging 20 points, 4 rebounds, and 6 assists. But we officially got to the point in the simulation where there are no Steph Currys on any of the All-NBA teams, which is quite shocking only in year 3. And if you're wondering, the Knicks team that had a million fucking Steph Currys somehow didn't get the #1 seed, but they did finish with their good record of 56 and 26, but they lost in the first round to the Atlanta Hawks. Some things never change. Anyways, the Pistons and Thunder ended up playing in this NBA Finals. Weirdly enough, the Pistons actually don't have a Steph Curry on their entire roster. The Thunder have Gilgeous-Alexander, Curry, Josh Giddey, Chet Holmgren. We simulated this one game by game, and the outcome was kind of surprising, actually. The Detroit Pistons ended up sweeping their way to the championship, and Jaden Ivey won Finals MVP, averaging 35 points a game, proving that Steph Curry's value in this simulation has been diminished to nothing. If you guys enjoyed this video, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, but most importantly, turn on post notifications. I just want to say thank you guys so much for the support on the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I'm the coming attraction.